to understand the role as a guide in community work, to understand the role as an enabler in community work, to understand the role as an expert, as a social therapist in community work. The community organizer, having the required characteristics and skills and the knowledge about the process and steps of community organization, will be able to apply the same in different settings by applying appropriate roles. The different roles of a community organizer are discussed here. These roles are neither exhaustive nor mutually exclusive. The social worker or the community worker's first role is the guide role. The primary role of a community worker is to guide and help the community members to discover the ways and means of achieving their goals. As a guide, he helps the community to move effectively in the route which is set for itself. While the community worker has some responsibility to help, the community chooses this direction wisely based on many factors that may operate in the given context. The choice of direction and the method of movement must ultimately be that of the community. Thus, he or she is not a person to shoulder the responsibility or solve problems of the people. Instead, he or she provides the various options or avenues and shows different ways of dealing with the community problems. As a guide, he or she is required to provide needed information and ideas that the community may initially lack. For example, community facing the problem of unemployment, he or she should be able to provide information about the various employment schemes and options of self-employment, the terms, conditions and sources of credit and other important information for employment. The final choice and the means of deriving employment will rest with the community. In a situation where the community worker perceives the need and relevance of a particular project for the community development, he or she may stimulate a need with respect to this project. He or she may promote discussion on the project and may recommend the reward of action on the same. But his or her role as a guide does not allow the liberty of launching action on this project unless the community is ready and is wanting for such common action. Finally, as a guide, the community worker, instead of doing anything on his or her own, guides the members of the community in the process of community work. The community worker is not a person to shoulder the responsibility or solving problems for them. Instead, he or she has to make the people to respond for which the worker provides the various avenues and shows different routes while dealing with the community problems. The second role which the community worker has to have is the enabler role. In general, the role of the enabler is simply to facilitate the process of community work, but this role is as varied and complex as each situation with which the worker deals. He or she does not bring any work by himself or herself, but he or she enables the community members to do the work. The worker gives more importance to the process than to the product. By the role of enabler, the community worker would create independency among the people by which he or she avoid the dependency. The community worker plays the role of an enabler by facilitating the process of community work. Thereafter, he or she helps them to see the commonality of their feelings and nourishes the hopes that something can be collectively done about the same. He or she further enables the community to organize to act collectively. The role of an enabler requires judgment about how much of support and encouragement can be given, how much anxiety relieved, how much support provided at different stages, so that the community is able to move at a comfortable and with sufficient self-confidence. Enabling the community to maintain good interpersonal relations cooperative and collaborative attitudes and practices, and to deal with intergroup tensions, conflicts, and other blocks also fall in the domain of community worker as an enabler. The community organizer or the worker is present with the people and encourages and gives different suggestions so that the people are able to decide what they would like to do and how they would like to do. The community organizer only initiates the process, and people have to follow. At the time of difficulties, they refer back to the community organizer. Therefore, the role of the community organizer is to make the people understand the process and fully participate so that they are ready to stand on their own. That is self reliability. As an expert, the worker's role is to provide information, knowledge, and advice in a number of areas about which he or she is specialized. Often, worker has to provide research data, technical experience, research material, advice on methods that the community may need or require in the process of achieving its goals. The worker may serve as an expert in problem, community diagnosis, and analysis, and may help the community to understand its own structure, dynamics, potentialities, and constraints. He or she is expected to be skilled in research methods, able to conduct studies and formulate research policy. Worker may also be expected to have knowledge of organization and procedure and even government institutions. The next role that a community worker needs to have is the social therapist role. A social therapist, according to Ross, deals with those deep laying and often unconscious forces which are constantly and often in the hidden form and threatens to disrupt the community organization process. As a social therapist, community worker is empowering people to help one another. Group therapy is a form of social therapy, which with the evolution of technology, social therapy is evolving into other forms. The healthy social environment is essential for the individual and group and community for productive life, independent and joyful. A healthy social environment is cultivated through where all members contribute according to their ability, and community workers channelize the healthy social environment by establishing necessary spiritual, social and physical conditions of the community to thrive as an art and social science of social therapy. This is a specialized function or role of community worker. It involves community therapy. It implies diagnosis and treatment of the community as a whole. The community is able to recognize these deep-rooted ideas and practices, verbalize about them, and begin to cope with them. It may develop a capacity to function more effectively as an integrated unit. The professional working at the community level in this way has, of course, a wider field for diagnosis. He or she must know the origin and history of the community as a whole or in its separate parts, must understand the social roots of many of its present beliefs and customs, and association of beliefs and practices, the power structure of the community, the role and relationship between roles established in the community. The diagnosis must provide the community with some understanding of its nature and character and treatment, must involve the community in a process in which self-understanding relieves tension and removes blocks to cooperative work. The difference in method of the therapist and the average worker in the field are the depth and thoroughness of the analysis and treatment. The social therapist deals with those deep lying and often unconscious forces which are constantly and often hidden in form, threatening to disrupt the community organization process. Some other roles of community worker are communicator. The community organizer transfers or transmits information, thoughts, knowledge, etc. to the members of the community. The community to be better prepared and empowered by sharing the information The communication between the organizer and the community and within the community is essential. The people have to be prepared and informed about various effects and consequences of the community organization process. Various ways of communication can be by individual contact, group meeting, group discussion, public meetings, etc. Often the community organizer takes up upper hand and considers that the people are illiterate and ignorant, and hence the dealing happens as a master and slave relationship. In order to avoid any such undesired relationship, the community organizer maintains transparency and communicates with the people. The communication enables better interaction, which leads to a healthy relationship and cooperation of further action and response. The community organizer, in order to disseminate the information to the people, can use different techniques like skits, role plays, street plays, and audio and video shows. The organizer can train the people in all these communicative techniques. It will be more effective if he or she is able to organize the small children and train them in this regard. By giving the responsibility to such groups to communicate to other members in the community will also be helpful in reaching out the whole community. There should not be any secrecy or suppression of information which could only create undesired results. The greater reliance on the locally accepted and indigenous channels of communication is desirable, as it leads to more effective communication. Local leaders and local groups like women groups, youth groups, children clubs, etc., are some such options. The ability of the community organizer to play this role effectively will to a large extent determine the quality and the intensity of community organization process. The second role or another role that the community worker plays is of animator. In any process of community organization, the organizer encourages, provides direction and guidelines to proceed in carrying out different activities collectively and with self-help initiatives. In developing societies like India, often people are victims of a chronic dependency syndrome and therefore fail to spontaneously mobilize the action or even take crucial decision on their own. Many people, because of their culture, tend to depend on others and do not want to decide anything on their own. In such situation, the organizer as an animator helps the people to come forward and have active participation in all phases of the process from planning to evaluation. Any further correction or modification in the works of the community are being done by the animator. The animator plays a vital role in eliciting the active participation of people from planning till the evaluation, especially ensuring the involvement of people in all the dealing of issues and problems. The people in general do not want to take any risk, or at times they do not even want to do anything for common good. One of the reasons could be that the people have the attitude of culture of poverty and culture of silence. This could be changed by community organizer by pricking and tickling the conscience of the people through raising questions. This would further enable them to increase their level of consciousness. Another role that the community worker plays is that of a guide. The primary role of a community organizer is that of a guide who helps the community to discover the ways and means of achieving its own goals. As a guide, he helps the community to move effectively in the direction which it sets for itself. While the organizer has some responsibility to help the community choose their direction wisely, based on many factors which may operate in the given context, the choice of the direction and the method of movement must ultimately be that of the community. Closely associated to guide is the role of counselor. The community organizer initiates work by developing an intensive understanding of the community. Often he is expected to enable the community to understand itself in terms of its multiple dimensions. It may entail diagnosis and treatment of the community as a whole. He may help the community to face its underlying forces and attitudes which may be creating tension and conflict among the groups in the community. Further, after enabling the community to recognize their deep rooted ideas and practices, help them verbalize them, and begin to cope with them, the community is helped to develop a capacity to function more effectively as an integrated unit. Thus, as a counselor and social therapist, the organizer deals with the deep laying and often latent forces that threaten to disrupt the community organization process. At the time of difficulty, the individuals or the groups are given the required counseling to help them proceed in the correct direction. One of the very basic dimensions of counseling is to be a patient listener. Usually, everyone likes others to listen to them and hesitate to listen to others. Moreover, as a counselor, he has to step into the shoes of others. That is, empathize, understand, and respond. People, when they are in trouble, what they need most are that there should be someone to listen to them. When people approach with a problem, there should be someone to attend them. In all such situations, the community organizer can easily step in as a counselor for helping the people. Community worker also has a role of collaborator. The community organizer collaborates with his colleagues, co-professionals, and other organizations working in the community. In contemporary context, the importance of maintaining collaborative partnership with other organizations is well recognized. In the situation where there are also other organizations working towards similar problem, a collaborative effort is not only more desirable, but also more productive and feasible. Therefore, the community organizer is expected to network with such other organizations to establish effective linkage and collaborations. The community organizer joins hands in performing his task with his colleagues, with other like-minded people and organizations. The organizer has to have interpersonal relationships and public relations skills. Nowadays, organizations approach a problem not only with their personal capacity, as they also depend upon neighboring organizations. Similarly, other organizations may also look for cooperation and collaboration with different organizations. There are also organizations working towards a similar problem, wherein a collaborative effort will strengthen both the organizations. Therefore, the role of collaborator is very much needed for networking with similar and like-minded organizations working for a common cause. The community worker often also works as a consultant. He has the role of a consultant. The community organizer enjoys the trust and confidence of the people and is often relied upon to advise them about matters of vital importance to them. His expertise and experience is relied upon by people who often seek his guidance and expert advice. As a consultant, he makes himself available to people who are in need of his inputs. He is also able to furnish his expertise to community groups and community organizations. The community organizer or the worker becomes a person with knowledge and information which is being shared with the people. As a consultant, the community organizer or the worker makes himself available to the people who are in need because the community organizer has information and expertise which could be availed by those who are in need of it. The community worker or organizer, instead of working in a field of one area, will be able to contribute his expertise through many individuals and groups by performing the role of a consultant. The community organizer or the worker is an innovator too. He innovates, performs, and constantly strives to improve upon the techniques through the process of community organization. This gives a lead to the people of the community and enables them to try out new ways and means to find situations, solutions, their needs and their problems. Community organization is not merely for solving problems, but the broader goals of capacity building of individuals, groups, and the community as a whole. have to be meaningfully achieved. Innovative ways of improving the capacity of the people, introducing new and more effective ways of community building, as also reviving the traditional and indigenous systems from within the community form an integral part of the role expected from the organizer. Community organizer is not a person to maintain the systems that exist, but he should be a person to introduce new ways and means to climb up the development ladder. The community organizer is often perceived as a role model. So, modeling is in front of the people, or to be a model in front of the people is another role for the community worker. He is perceived as a role model and is a source of inspiration for people. He needs to be conscious of the influence that he is able to exert on the community. His behavior and approach are often emulated by the people who look upon him for his knowledge, skills, and expertise. He also sets innovative models of working on community issues which could be replicated in other communities facing similar circumstances and problems. By proper planning, in approaching to a problem and executing the plan and documenting the whole process will be of great help to others. The problem-solving process sets a model for others to follow. The community organizer commands perfection as a community organizer and serves as a source of inspiration. The role of the community organizer is to become an example while working with the people. This would further make him a model which could be applied to others with similar problems. The community organizer is also a motivator. He stimulates and sustains active interest among the people for reaching a solution to their needs and problems. The community organizer encourages the community to take up a minor task and complete it successfully. This in turn enables the people to take up more difficult tasks. In such a process, the people at times may not take any initiative or may be content to live with the existing situation. In such a context, the organizer motivates the people by making them observe, analyze, and understand and respond to the situation. When people are discouraged because they are not able to achieve what they wanted and there is a resistance and opposition, in such a situation, the organizer plays the role of a motivator to help them continue efforts in spite of difficulties. The community worker or organizer is sometimes acting as a catalyst or plays the role of a catalyst. In the process of community organization, the community organizer enables the people to become empowered by regaining accessibility and control over resources and acquiring skills in decision making. He or she accelerates the action and reaction of the people so that they are able to achieve the desired results. As a catalyst, the organizer is able to increase the response level of the people. The catalyst role further enables the people to become independent and become better equipped in responding to their own needs and problems. The role of an advocate is to represent or persuade the members of community, and often the community worker plays the role of an advocate. He prepares them to represent the issues to the concerned authorities in order to bring about an effective solution to their unmet needs. Advocacy role is an important one in the present context of community work. The needs and the problems of the people have to be presented at appropriate forums and the required support and networking obtained in order to increase the pressure on the oppressive forces. In the role performance of the advocate, the community organizer champions the rights of community groups. He or she speaks on the behalf of the community to gain access to the services or to improve the quality of the services provided. Thus, as an advocate, the community organizer argues, debates, bargains, negotiates, and confronts the forces working against the interest of the community. The community worker facilitates the community also. So, another role that the community worker plays is that of facilitator. The community organizer helps the community to articulate their needs, clarify and identify their problems, explore appropriate strategies, select and apply intervention strategies, and develop the people's capacities to deal with their own problems more effectively. A facilitator provides support, encouragement, and suggestion to the community so that they may proceed more easily, skillfully in completing the task or the problem or solving the problem. A facilitator assists the community to find coping strategies, strengths, and resources to produce changes necessary for realizing goals and objectives. A facilitator helps client systems to alter their environment. The community worker has another role, which is as that of a mediator. Another role that the community organizer or worker plays is that of a mediator, that is, he intervenes in disputes between parties to help them find compromises, reconcile differences, or reach mutually satisfying agreements. The mediator takes a neutral stance between the involved parties. A mediator is involved in resolving disputes between the members or between the community and other people in the broader environment. Community worker, organizer is also an educator. As an educator, he conveys information to the community and those in the broader environment. Organizer provides information necessary for coping with the problem situations, assists the community in practicing new behavior patterns or skills, and teaches through presentation of role models. The community organizer provides information necessary for decision making. Community organization is a macro method in social work. The community organizer, with the required qualities and skills, will be able to work with the people. While working with the people of different background or from different geographical setup, the different roles can be applied. All the roles need not be or cannot be applied to all the settings or in dealing with all the problems. Moreover, there is no one role which is superior or inferior, and while dealing with any problem, the organizer has to play more than one role. Therefore, depending upon the situation and the needs and the problems of the community, appropriate role has to be applied. The community work as a process involves the community in taking the initiative of identifying, analyzing, selecting the different needs and problems of the community. The committee also identifies the needs and the resources and the works out a plan of action, implement and evaluate, and continues with the next priority areas. In the process, worker plays different roles like guide, enabler, expert, and social therapist, etc. in different settings depending on the situation and needs and problems of the area.